I'm Christian, your friend of the way. I have spent over 5,000 hours in meditation, just staring at the floor, and now I share what it did for me and how it changed my perspective about life. I simplify ancient meditation teachings to help you realize that awakening is happening every moment. Can you imagine that a 10-minute walking meditation delivers more peace and happiness than the most lavish and extravagant vacation you can imagine? Sounds unbelievable, right? So many years ago, at my first meditation retreat in a Zen temple, I was struck by a very simple insight. It was day 3 of the silent retreat, and after several periods of sitting in meditation, we stood up for the walking meditation. So basically, we would sit in meditation for about 30 minutes, followed by a 10-minute walking meditation, and then return to the sitting for another 30 minutes. And this cycle would repeat throughout the entire day, every day for the whole week. So it happened during the week. I can't remember what exact day, but basically we stood up for the walking meditation, and I can remember that my mind was present, witnessing like all thoughts that appeared. And each thought basically disappeared as quickly as it came. It was incredible. The pace at which I noticed and let go of thoughts was so swift that I could just feel a profound sense of clarity and ease within my mind. And as I kept walking quietly, noticing the bird sounds around the temple, a realization became apparent. And no, it wasn't a big enlightenment experience or a realization of that sort. Much simpler than that. It just became clear to me that the simple act of walking was just so refreshing, more refreshing than what I've experienced on any vacation or other occasion. And I was wondering why people often take a 1 or 2 week vacation to recharge, although it's much more simple and refreshing to just do meditation. And I doubt that anybody on vacation would ever feel that vitalized as I felt in that temple. So why isn't everybody doing that? Why do people need to get away from their life circumstances in order to recharge? People work hard to afford a comfortable life, then hurry to escape it for a week or two, just to forget their daily grind and to recharge. Yet, these breaks are stressful and the dread of work returns once they are back. And oftentimes, when people return, they are already fearing their next day at work. So how refreshing can a vacation really be if it doesn't make you excited to return to daily life or leave you feeling ready for the task at hand? People are always seeking something special to feel better and more alive. They thirst for experiences beyond the ordinary daily life, which often feels boring and unexciting. And this even extends beyond vacations. Many work hard to earn money or chase special experiences, always staying busy, dreaming about a certain scenario that will finally bring them peace and make them feel fully alive. And social media is full of it. Endless displays of lavish and extravagant lives. Flying around the world, eating at the best restaurants, chilling in remote locations and partying at the best clubs, just to name a few. But do they really get what they desire? Is it truly fulfilling? Is it really better than your ordinary, boring life? I don't think so. Believing that chasing anything will make you happy is an illusion. If you think something outside yourself, something beyond the here and now, will make things better, I think you are mistaken. Whenever we chase something, we desire to go from here to there, which already implies that here is insufficient and there is better. This is always the case. And if you doubt it, simply take a look at your own life. Aside from the more apparent examples like being dissatisfied with your job or relationship, this principle also applies to much smaller everyday situations. For instance, we might find ourselves taking a walk outside when it's just a bit too hot or too cold, or sitting in a chair that's maybe slightly uncomfortable, or watching a video and getting annoyed by the ads. In these situations, there is an element of suffering or unsatisfactoriness involved, and you probably wish for something else instead. Now, what's causing this unsatisfactoriness to appear? According to the first noble truth of the Buddha, life is dukkha. Dukkha is often translated as suffering, but a more accurate translation or meaning is unsatisfactoriness. It just explains that all existence is imperfect and unsatisfactory, which naturally leads you to suffering. But where does this feeling of unsatisfactoriness come from? That's where Buddha's second noble truth comes into play. It identifies ignorance, craving, and aversion as the root causes of unsatisfactoriness. So we are ignorant of the true cause of suffering. We mistaken external conditions for internal conflict. We crave sensory stimulations, believing they will make us happier and more fulfilled. And we basically try to avoid situations we don't like. We think we suffer from external factors, but in reality, we only suffer because we create an ideal version in our minds and then complain when reality doesn't match it. And last but not least, the third and fourth noble truths say that ending desire is possible and that there is a way to achieve it. So back to the story from my meditation retreat. Since it was my first meditation retreat, many thoughts came up. When is this going to be over? My back hurts. It's very uncomfortable to sit in this cross-legged position, and so on. One after another, my thoughts would appear in my mind, and I would try to get rid of them. And I tried very hard to meditate, to make the thoughts disappear, because I was desiring to attain a state of complete stillness and peace. But suddenly, after hours and hours of sitting, I became conscious of this desire that has driven my practice up to that point. The desire to have a good meditation session. The desire for inner stillness and peace. The desire for avoiding unpleasant thoughts that complain about the situation. So becoming aware of this desire and how it misled me left me with only one question. How can I overcome this desire when trying to overcome it is just another desire? So I took a radical approach. Instead of engaging with the desire, I simply wondered if I could live with it. I wondered if I could continue witnessing this desire and what it brought up inside of me. It brought up uncomfortable feelings, craving for something else, and way more thoughts. And slowly but gradually, I was able to lean more into observing these thoughts and desires and how they play out in my mind, instead of actively engaging with them. And just by witnessing a thought appear in my mind and simply acknowledging it, the thought would disappear on its own. And soon enough, the next thought would arise, waiting to be seen and acknowledged. So it wasn't about doing anything specific with these thoughts, like trying to prevent them or push them away. It was more about simply acknowledging their presence and accepting their existence, not wishing for anything else. And by acknowledging the thoughts and desires that came up, and simply staying with them, it was as if their charge was removed and they were no longer kept alive by my attachment or resistance. They were basically free to come and free to go. I was essentially left with no alternate reality to distract myself with, but to embrace whatever happened. So no desire for anything to be different, whether it be external or internal. And so when I was sitting there in my grey Zen robe with my back and knees hurting like hell, a feeling of uncaused contentment and peace came upon me. I began to feel a happiness that surpassed anything that I've ever experienced before. And that was when the bell rang, signaling that it was time for the walking meditation I described before. I learned that being ordinary is enough, and enough holds far more value than what I considered to be special today. Forget the flashy displays that are often considered spiritual today. Some people try really hard to look spiritual. They dress up and speak in certain ways, perhaps showing off their experiences and insights like trophies. True spirituality doesn't need any of that. It will actually become a hindrance for you. If you chase after special experiences, whether in the material or spiritual world, your own desires will lead you astray. So why not simply stand where your feet touch the ground and embrace the ordinary? Feel your feet against the concrete, hear the birds sing, and let the fresh wind and sunlight touch your skin. Just see the buildings and trees around you and just feel the vibrancy of being alive. Within the ordinary lies immense aliveness and clarity, much more than most people ever come to appreciate. Seeking something else than what you're experiencing right now will not help you. It will actually make you more miserable than you already are. And what do we even mean by special? Consider any supposedly special situation, like a lavish vacation. Really picture yourself there and experience it fully. In reality, you might just find yourself standing or walking in a beautiful place and possibly feeling hungry or tired, living through all the usual human emotions and needs. It's quite ordinary when you think about it. Even experiences that seem exceptional, like driving a sports car or flying on a private jet, essentially consist of only ordinary actions. Sitting, looking around, feeling this way or that way, and so forth. There may be short moments of joy, but they go as quickly as they came, and they cannot provide you with lasting fulfillment, because nothing can. Your dream coming to life, as exciting as it sounds, is just another ordinary moment. But when you are there, you might pretend it's truly making you happy, so you don't have to face the shame of having chased an empty dream for so long. You play a part in your own soap opera, pretending to be happy now. But inside, you really know that this is not it. We are always seeking something special, and when it doesn't work, sooner or later, we will realize that we have just wasted our lives chasing some empty idea of something. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's bad to live a certain way, whether you're rich or poor. That's not what matters. It doesn't mean you should ignore your ambitions or desires either. Trying to get rid of desires is itself a desire. Your ambitions and desires are only ordinary anyway, so don't try to eliminate them. What I'm referring to is the difference between our expectations and the reality. Instead of chasing the next experience, we can realize that every moment is just ordinary. And if every moment is ordinary, why not fully live in the present and appreciate its simplicity? So instead of dreaming about the next moment, we might as well realize that the current moment has everything we need. We just need to make it a practice to tap into it. This sounds simple, right? Maybe even too simple. Or should we say, it's just too ordinary? Try it out right now. Look around. What does your current moment look like? How does it feel like? Do you sense something is missing? Do you feel you are not allowing yourself to be fully happy right now? Don't worry, that's just an ordinary feeling getting in the way. What else in your surrounding is just ordinary? Maybe you hear birds singing or children playing, or the sound of work at a nearby construction site. And perhaps various thoughts come up as well. Doubts, fears, feelings of not being good enough, and so on. See and feel how much is already present. There's a richness in each ordinary moment if we only dare to notice it. Even if you face internal resistances, don't try to get rid of them. After all, why try to get rid of them if you don't have a grand vision of yourself without them and how fantastic that would feel? You see, but if you notice yourself doing that, remember, it's just ordinary human behavior. I wish you all a very ordinary moment right now. And if it's not ordinary enough, make sure to subscribe to my newsletter to get more news on how to not waste your life chasing empty ideas. All the best, your friend of the way. Bye.